Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Careers in Care clinic. We'll introduce ourselves in a moment. Just to explain where this came from, so we ran this a few times last year. It seemed to be very well received, and they were very well subscribed. So we thought we'd run them again and offer that out to people again. You have to excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. I hope that doesn't persist. I'm sure we'll get over that. So the Careers in Care clinic, the next 45 minutes, we're going to be looking at careers in care. And this will be appropriate to you if you're already working in care and thinking about where you might progress your career to, or if you're not yet working in care and thinking about entering care and thinking what the prospects of a career in care might look like for you. So whether you're in care or not in care, I hope that this session is going to be of use to you and at least give you food for thought and some starters for things that can get your career in care progressing. So first of all, let's introduce ourselves. I'm going to be doing a lot of the talking, but not all of the talking today. So I'm Mark Story. I'm Head of Learning Innovation at FuturU. So I'm responsible for all of our online courses and for our team that looks after our lovely learners and users, and also making sure that we meet all of our regulatory requirements that we have to meet. I've spent a life in learning and development and in organisational development. So I've got a sense of what it takes to progress in a career, certainly from managing talented people and supporting talented people in their careers. But the expert in the room is Andy. So Andy, can I pass over to you and let you introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mark. And good afternoon, everybody who's tuned in for the webinar. My name's Andy Pirie. I am the Head of Recruitment at Newcross Healthcare. I've been with Newcross for around 4.5 years now. But prior to that, a lot more experience within health and social care across recruitment, candidate experience, marketing, all those sorts of things. So hopefully, if anybody's got any questions today, I'm well placed to answer, and looking forward to the conversation that we're going to have this afternoon.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Andy. So the things that we're going to cover today. So first of all, I want us to think about why people choose a career in care. And I'm sure that these are things that you know, but just to highlight some of the really great things that care represents as an option for somebody's career. Then we're going to spend a bit of time just thinking about the different career paths available within the care sector, and get you thinking about who you would want to ideally work with and what sort of organisation and what sort of role is best suited for you. Then we're going to think about some of the fundamental skills and qualifications that you might need. That changes depending on where you are in the country. But more importantly than that, we're going to think about some of the behaviours and attitudes that really turn a good carer into a great carer. And then we're going to get really practical and think about job hunting strategies and CV tips and advice. We're going to signpost you to something that we've got on the FuturU platform, which is a self-assessment to help you consider your career aspirations and what kind of career in care might be most appropriate to you. And then we're going to break into this conversation with questions and answers. And as we go through this, I'll be explaining some points, but then I'll be inviting Andy to give us his insight and expertise from his role as Head of Recruitment in Newcross. So with no further ado, let's think about why people choose a career in care. Now, first of all, let's get the kind of elephant in the room out the way, that care can be a really demanding role, and often it, certainly at entry level, it can be a low paid or often unrecognised role. We at FuturU and Newcross Healthcare, we believe that care is a profession and should be celebrated. And there's some really positive aspects of care. And these are the things that I want to bring to your attention. So first of all, the rewarding nature of care. And of course, it's a real feel-good factor to be looking after somebody, to be making a real difference. And for some people, that's a really important thing to go home with at the end of the day, that sense of making a difference. And a career in care offers that in spades. You can literally change people's lives. But also with regard to reward in terms of kind of monetary reward, there are opportunities in care to get really a good income and a stable career as a result of progressing through the ladder. And we're going to talk a bit about that as well. One of the advantages of care is that it is a high demand sector. So there are always shortages of staff in care. It's one of the kind of characteristics of the care sector. There's a lot of turnover in care. And what that means is that there are usually lots of job opportunities available in the care sector. So that makes it often a career choice for people because there are so many roles available in the sector. And finally, what I want us to explore a bit more today is the diversity of opportunities in care. So it could be the types of people that you'll be looking after. So whether it's children or young adults or older people, whether it's people with mental health issues or physical disabilities, whether it's working with people in their own homes or working with people in some kind of residential setting. There is a whole range of opportunities. But not only that, there are a whole range of opportunities to fit a career in care around your personal life. So care is a 24-hour operation, and that often gives us opportunities to maintain or create for ourselves a work-life balance. So there's diversity in hours, there's diversity in types of people that you look after, and diversity in the types of environments that you might work in. So all of that combined makes care a really attractive proposition as a career choice. Andy, any thoughts on what I've just been saying there?
Yeah, just to echo a lot of what you said, but sometimes you don't always consider some settings where carers are needed. There are all sorts of sort of settings that we're familiar with, like care homes and hospitals and places like that. But there are also other settings around schools, actually like live-in care, actually within people's homes, staffing other care packages, but also like schools, the military, all employ carers and healthcare professionals. So there really is a huge range of opportunities for people that want to work in care.
Brilliant, thanks, Andy. And even prisons as well. So, care in the justice system is quite a big thing. Lovely. Well, with that in mind, let's take ourselves on a little road trip of a possible career in care. So when you start out as in the care sector, often it's in an entry-level role. So that might be a care assistant or a support worker or a personal assistant to somebody. And there might be some initial training that you might need. We'll come on to some of the qualifications, things like the care certificate and doing your moving and handling training and so on. But at some point after that sort of initial entry into the sector, you'll start to think potentially about progression. And the first stage of progression from being an entry-level carer or support worker might be taking on some kind of more seniority. So it might be a team leader, or it might be becoming a senior carer. And again, those kind of roles might be supported with additional qualifications. But that is not the only route available to you. It is also possible that you can progress through specializing at this stage. So you might be working with older people with dementia, for example, So you might start specializing in dementia as being one of the kind of care needs that you know most about. It might be that you become activities coordinator, or you become somebody that is has some kind of responsibility for rotoring or something. Or it might be that you're working, as Andy said, in some different environment, like a school or a housing association, and actually your speciality becomes not just caring for people, but supporting perhaps their administrative requirements around housing or around benefits. So there's lots of early opportunities to start specializing, and it's not necessarily skills in care. It may be skills related to care around understanding the benefit system, or understanding the asylum system, or whatever it might be. Or it could be a very specific care related specialism. As you progress, whether it's in some kind of senior role or team leader role or specialist role, then you might start thinking about professional roles. And these might be things like associate nurse or nurse qualifications and professions, if you want to go down that route. Or it could be associated professionals like occupational health or speech and language therapy. There are a whole range of different speciality professions that might become available to you. So again, you might be going up the qualifications ladder at this point, but you might start to think about the specific professional qualifications and specialisms that you want to develop. Or you might want to progress along the leadership and management route. So you become a team leader or a senior carer. You might then aspire to become a deputy manager of a home or a service, and then become a registered manager. You might even go beyond that into senior management within a care organisation, and start looking at multiple services and supporting and making more of an impact on the quality of care as a result of that role. Other things to think about are the kind of clients or people that you want to look after. And there is a whole range. So it might be people of all ages. So it could be very young children, adolescents, young adults, older people. It could be people with physical care needs. It could be people with mental health issues and mental care needs. It could be people with very complex needs, or people with very challenging behaviours. There's a whole range of different people that require care. We mentioned prisons earlier, so people going through the justice system, or people going through the immigration system, or it could be people struggling with independent living. There are a whole range of different people that you might want to offer care for. And there'll be people that you have more of a kind of connection with, perhaps than others. So it's worth thinking, often when people think about care, they often think about older people, but that is just scratching the surface. You might also want to think about the kind of environment that you want to work in. So do you want to go to a place of work, like a care home or a school, and work in that from the beginning of the day to the end of the day? Or in a care home's case, it might be overnight. Do you want to work in a hospital, a large setting with lots of people, very busy? Or would you prefer to be working on your own and going and visiting people on in their own homes? Or perhaps caring for people in their own homes as part of a team. You might want to work not necessarily in a care setting, a traditional care setting, but in a supported living environment, and spend your time kind of enabling people to live an independent life. So again, there's a whole range of opportunities there for you to think about when you think about the kinds of environments that you might want to work in. And finally, think about the types of employers that you want to work for. So that could range from a huge, great organisation like the NHS, or some of the big national care providers, or would it suit you better to work for a smaller organisation, a small team, perhaps a single care home in a single location? Some will have more opportunities, perhaps, for structured career development, and some might be a more relaxed setting and a more social environment. So have a think of the kinds of different employers, and of course, agencies fall into that as well. So, Andy, just turning to you, thinking about all those different possible career paths in the care sector, what do you see when you see people coming through to Newcross?
I think it's really common, certainly in people's early careers, that they do jump around sort of different settings and different environments. It's really common to see that. I think that enables people to kind of experience a broader range of care before making their mind up in which direction that they progress in their later career. I think what's also important, whether you're just starting out or whether you're very experienced, there's also a lot of lateral opportunities within each stage of your career. It might be that you could be a care assistant or a support worker, and you decide to do a course around administering medications or supporting clients with very specific medical or complex needs like tracheostomy care, things like that. So within each kind of stage, there's a huge range of potential with a career in care. I think at Newcross we sort of focus on the flexibility. So we have work across care homes, supported living, children's services, that kind of thing. But also within our community care, we offer quite supportive care within people's homes. So you could be supporting a specific person in need of care in their own home. They might have some quite basic care needs or some quite complex care needs. So you can kind of mold to fit exactly kind of around the type of care, type of environment, whatever you kind of choose as your kind of niche within the care sector.
Brilliant. Thank you. I mean, putting this together last year, it always surprises me the range of opportunities there are there. And it is worth thinking about. So rather than think about care specific, as a general thing, think about the kinds of people, the kinds of environment that you want to work in, and where you want your career to go. Are you better off being a leader or manager, or better off being a specialist? So with that in mind, just thinking about some of the essential skills and qualifications, and this might be different for different parts of the country. Just to put this out there straight away, we're not going to cover specifically the requirements for international workers here, but there is a really great guide that Alex has just put the link to in the chat, or you can scan the QR code, or there'll be links in the follow-up email to you. It's a really useful guide for international workers with regards to being able to work in the UK. The things that I wanted to cover around qualifications particularly, and I'll bring Andy in on the behaviours and attitudes. So at a basic level, having a good grasp of English and maths is more than likely going to be a requirement. Being able to read, potentially write care plans, being able to administer medication often requires some fundamental maths. There is often a kind of a basic requirement for some basic level English and maths. Beyond that, in England, there is no requirement for a qualification beyond that, but there is certainly an encouragement for people to do the care certificate, and there is now the level 2 adult social care certificate, which is appropriate for a lot of the care sector. In Scotland, you need to register with the SSSC if you're going to work in care in Scotland, and as a result of that, you get a certain period of time before which you have to have signed up and completed a Scottish vocational qualification in order to remain on the register. There's a similar setup in Wales, and beyond that, there may be some organisations, so some of the larger employers, think about the NHS and so on, that might offer apprenticeships for people, or structured training and qualifications. Or it may be some of the smaller organisations can access funding as well to support those. So there's a range of kind of entry-level qualifications. There is also a whole abundance of certifications. So the kind of mandatory training requirements, things like basic life support or moving and handling, things like the care certificate, or it might be infection control or health and safety and so on. There's a lot of that you can access for free on FuturU. So I'm pleased that you can just go on and you can do that training and download your certificates. And a lot of organisations will also offer it to their staff as well. And then when we think about those professional roles, we may be moving into longer periods of study. So it may be degree level roles, if you want to do something like a nursing degree, or if you want to become a registered manager, there's the level 5 registered manager qualification, which again is kind of degree level learning. So the higher up you go, the more complex the requirements for qualifications there are. But that aside, that is just your kind of entry into those types of roles. I would say it's really behaviours and attitudes that is going to make the difference between you being a good carer and being a great carer. And this is where I want to bring Andy in and just ask you, Andy, from your experience, do you see some people presenting themselves that are really passionate about care, and what kind of difference does that make to how they then progress in their careers?
Yes, we do. I mean, obviously beyond the kind of the standard competency and capability, you know, it's really care is such an industry where, or a sector where, human connections are so important. So people that are able to communicate effectively, build those relationships with the people that they're caring for, are the people that ultimately will be better carers. You know, it's not always just communicating with the person you're caring for. It's around their family. It's the wider support team for that person. It could be other agencies in terms of other care agencies within a hospital or another service, things like that. So there's an awful lot there that you have to kind of develop as a range of skills as a carer beyond the kind of the basic competency of being able to deliver care. At Newcross, we employ people based on our values. So within the interview process, we have values-based questions that are designed to tease out your ability to work towards those values. You know, our values are respect, integrity, teamwork, and empathy. So we use questioning techniques within the interview to put you in hypothetical scenarios that are designed to kind of figure out how you would behave in a certain situation, to tell us how you would sort of work towards those values. That ultimately kind of gives you that broader range of behaviors and attitudes that we can then make a more confident decision that you would be a brilliant carer to work within our organization. So it's skills that you must keep working on, must keep developing throughout your career as well. You know, the better you can be at those additional skills, I think the better carer and better human you can be as well.
Thank you, Andy. So thinking about job hunting strategies, and if you're looking for an entry-level role, or you're looking for your next opportunity to progress in the career, in your career in care, there's some really useful tips in here, and there is a document which talks about transferable skills that Alex is going to, I'm sure, send the link to, but you can scan the QR code there. When we think about searching for potential opportunities, going back to the type of employers that you want to work for, if you're wanting to work for a large organization, it is more than likely that they will have their own website, their own jobs board or careers section of that website. So if you're looking for NHS work, then it's likely you would Google NHS jobs and identify a location, and then get routed to local jobs in the NHS for you. Similarly, if you're looking at housing associations or local councils, then again, that might be going straight onto their websites. If you're thinking about smaller organizations, that might be in local newspapers, it might be on kind of generic job boards like Indeed and so on. So there's a whole range of different places that you might look, depending on what kind of opportunity you're looking for. Specialist recruitment agencies like Newcross, they will have websites and they will post all of their vacancies and probably have a process that you go through, recruitment process, and you might have to apply online for that. And otherwise, it might be networking. So follow the local care homes or whatever on LinkedIn or on Facebook. And that might be an opportunity for local job opportunities too. When you're hunting for jobs, then be specific about the kind of opportunity that you want. So identify your care setting, your environment, and be looking for those kinds of roles. And what Andy was saying about values-based recruitment, thinking about integrity and teamwork and respect and empathy, they're really great examples of transferable skills. So if you've been working in a supermarket, for example, or in a local pub or a restaurant or wherever it might be, there'll be a whole range of transferable skills that you might then think, how would they apply to a particular care setting? And then finally, experience. So often a challenge for people is, how do I get a job without experience? And how do I get experience without being able to get the job? So there's a whole range of different ways in which you might gain experience. And volunteering is a really great way of gaining experience. So whether it's connecting with local charities, local care homes. A friend of mine became a volunteer at a local care home as somebody that just goes in and talks to residents. And she found it extremely rewarding, but it also allowed her to build a skill set and a CV that allowed her then to get into a care-related role. Andy, any other insights from you?
Yeah, so around the searching stage, I think we're in the world of AI now as well. So searching on Google, you can be quite specific with what you're searching for, and the AI will go off and make recommendations. So you might be searching for a job role within a setting, and you might put near me in the search, and Google will actually kind of find you relevant jobs related to that in your local area. So there's many ways you can kind of adjust that search to kind of get you the best results, and that will find you big agency jobs, NHS jobs, local jobs as well. It will kind of scan the whole of the market in your location. I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but the NHS also used to take people on with zero experience and put them through a sort of a career development pathway. So that's another way of kind of looking at entry level jobs with no experience. So there really is a huge variety, but I do agree with the volunteering part is always key. So any spare time that you've got, volunteering and putting that on your CV is really going to help you stand out as well.
Brilliant. So not quite finally, but the next kind of practical section of this is CV tips and advice. I have the privilege of often recruiting people, and CVs is really the one moment where you get to make a judgment on somebody without even having met them. So the quality of the CV that you put in, or the quality of the information that you put in on an online application or on an application form that gets sent to you, is really important. Whether it's just the spelling or the way that it's laid out, finding people that can check that for you, or using spell checks or whatever, is a basic but a really important point, because it reflects on how you're going to be when you're in the role. So when you're thinking about putting your CV together, there's a number of things. First of all, mention any care-related skills. So think particularly about any care experience that you might have, but think about those really important transferable skills. So that might be if you're looking to work in people's homes, so maybe in domiciliary care where you're going to different houses and supporting people to get out of bed and get breakfast and some personal care and so on, then it might be really important that you're able to work on your own and work on your own initiative and manage your own time. So think about the transferable skills that you've demonstrated in the past that would work in that kind of setting. Or if you're working in a care home, it may be more important that you're really good at working in a team, taking instruction perhaps, and able to support each other in a team environment when things get busy. So think about the care-related skills that apply to the role that you're applying for. And of course, mention any voluntary or informal care experience that you might have. There are thousands of people that have been caring for family members, and all of that experience would be useful for you to be describing. Now, it takes a bit of time, but it's really important to tailor your CV for each job that you have. So if you're a recruiter and you're looking at a CV, you can tell if it's just a kind of generic CV that's been sent in. But if somebody's looking for somebody that can do waking nights in a care home environment, specializing with people with dementia, then that's the CV that they want to be looking for, is people that have got transferable skills or appropriate skills in that area. They don't just want to be looking for somebody who says, I'm a great carer and so on. So tailor your CVs for the specific role that you're looking for. And if it does mention things like must be a team player or must be able to work on their own initiative, then make sure you're responding to those requirements in the CV. Use examples where you can, that's really important. So I consider myself to be a really effective team player. This was demonstrated in my previous role when we had this problem, and as a team we managed to come together and overcome it, for example. Format matters, so it doesn't have to be a novel that you're submitting. It can be just a couple of pages, and being concise is often a real challenge with some of these things. And I personally like the personal statement at the top. So just a couple of sentences about you. I am somebody looking for my first job role to develop a career in care. I've proven myself to be an effective team player. I'm trustworthy, and I like to commit everything to everything that I do or whatever. I'm passionate about looking after people, and so on. So something nice and brief that just kind of summarizes who you are and what you're about. Andy, you must have seen thousands of CVs in your life. So what insight have you got for us here?
I think it's really important to take time to actually read the job advert fully as well. You know, a lot of the time, the clues that the recruiter is wanting to recruit around are in that job advert. So take the time to digest that advert, understand how you can demonstrate your experience matches the requirements of that advert. You use the example, Mark, around waking nights. You know, that's a perfect example. If you are just firing off applications without fully reading that, you might miss that requirement, but you might not want to be working waking nights. So you've kind of wasted your time by applying for that job if you don't want to work the shift pattern that it's asking for. So really take your time on that application stage and really sort of understand how you can communicate within your CV and your application, how you match that requirement of the job advert. Um, Other things around that is it's really, really key to just state the facts. Don't obviously the CV needs to be true, and you're kind of demonstrating your experience correctly within that. I think make sure that your dates are correct around your experience and your education. Um, it's okay to have any gaps as well. Just make sure that you kind of detail that on the CV. A lot of the bigger companies will use technology to process some of the CVs now, and they will take those dates out and build those into the application process. So the more streamlined that is and accurate that is without any gaps, the faster your application is likely to be processed, and make it easier for the recruiter at the other end to understand whether you're a good fit for what position that they're hiring for is around as well. So yeah, make sure it's accurate, make sure it's relevant. And in terms of formatting, we see the best CVs are kind of quite simply formatted. You can get some great CV templates from Word or from Google Docs, things like that, to give you a start. And those places will often give you sort of the structure and therefore the prompts of what you need to complete on your CV. And then you can obviously sort of move things around to suit the application that you're going for. But also, yeah, do completely agree around the personal statement. That's your one sort of snapshot. That's your sort of 30-second read for the recruiter to pitch your case for that job. So make sure that's as strong as it can possibly be and tailored to the job that you're applying for.
That's great. Thanks, Andy. And it's a really important tip about organizations that use technology to process CVs, and think, okay, it's technology needs to be able to match those dates and see how those dates fit together. Otherwise it will, start smoking and blow up, I should imagine. So thinking about that actually the first person to read your CV nowadays in a large organization might be a computer. Okay, thank you very much, Andy. And just finally, I want to share with you a couple of things about FuturU. So first of all, and I think a number of you have got a FuturU account. If not, you can scan the QR code here, and it will take you to the Get Started page, where you can sign up for an account. It's completely free for individuals. So you can go on and you can do all of the learning. You can download all of your certificates. There is no restrictions on that. But if you go into the wellness section, you'll see a whole range of self-assessments. This one that we're highlighting here is the Career Aspirations Assessment. So you'll be asked 13 questions about kind of what you like, what your preferences are, and then it will provide you a fairly in-depth analysis of potential career options for you. So really clever piece of kit, but it is one of a number of self-assessments. So there is also a leadership and management potential self-assessment. Often we think that moving into management is our only way of kind of rising up the career ladder. That's not always the case. And it's really important to have a really honest sense of whether it's going to be right for you or not. There are also other assessments on things like communication skills or your level of empathy, or your work-life balance. And they, again, might just give you clues and tips and hints about what kind of career in care might be appropriate for you. So go and have a play. As I say, it's totally free. And while you're on there, of course, there are nearly 150 courses now, CPD accredited, that relate to health and social care. So whether you're thinking about how do I work in an environment where people might be displaying challenging behaviour, or how might I support people with dementia, or how might I support vulnerable young people best, there will be something on FuturU for you. And doing those courses would also be really useful to demonstrate to an employer that you are a self-directed and motivated learner, which is a great thing to be. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this session, and Alex will open it up for questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Andy. I'm aware we are nearly at time, but I think you guys have a little bit of time, don't you? A bit of a buffer. So if we go past course 2, that's okay with you both?
Yes, fine.
Yeah.
Awesome. Phew. Yes, so as I said, we had lots of questions come through before the session, and we will try and answer as many of those as we can. There were some questions that were more kind of on a case-by-case basis around kind of working for Newcross or relating to FuturU. So if we don't cover them today, we will do our best to be in touch with you privately about them. But with no further ado, I will crack on. So we have a question actually in the chat from Francis around what I think it's a question for you, Andy, around what would qualify a healthcare assistant as a senior carer within Newcross.
This one does vary slightly. Some employers will ask for a level 3 qualification within this, but at a bare minimum, it's at least 2 years experience. So at Newcross, we would ask for both. So a level 3 and at least 2 years experience, recent experience as well. So it's one of those where you can kind of progress towards it, and you can be studying alongside your work as well for that level 3 qualification.
I'll just jump in there about some of the challenges of agencies. While there's a huge amount of pluses and advantages working for agencies in terms of gathering experience and so on, often if you're trying to move from a healthcare assistant role to a senior role, it can be really challenging because you're being you're being assigned different shifts in different organizations, and often it's being able to work in one place and kind of act up into a role that will get you that experience. And sometimes that requires you to be in one employment setting. So it's really challenging, I think, for agencies generally to be offering that particular move in career. So yeah, I think quite often if you're working in a care home, you might find that there's an opportunity to be supported to act up in a team leader or supervisor role, and that might be more likely in a care employer than in an agency setting.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Andy. We've had quite a lot of questions around kind of the qualifications that FuturU offers, and specifically around NVQs. Mark, I don't know if you want to just give a little bit of a quick overview of the qualifications that FuturU offers currently.
So we offer a small selection of qualifications at the moment. So we offer the level 2 adult social care certificate, and one of the advantages of that is that employers can often get funding to pay for that. So if you're working for an employer, then, and I think we've got some resources for learners to approach their employers about
the level 2. The level 2 specifically, yeah, I can get that added to the chat.
We also offer the Scottish vocational qualification at level 2 in adult social care and at level 3, and we're just working on an English version of the level 3 in adult social care at the moment. Next year we will add to that and be offering a level 5. So once that's complete, we will have the level 2, 3 and 5, which will constitute most of the care career pathway according to Skills for Care. So it's only level 2 in England at the moment, level 2 and 3 in Scotland, but next year we'll be adding the level 3 and the level 5 in England.
Fantastic, thank you. So we have a really good question from Chado, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. How can I practicalize what I have been learning so far? So how can I put what I'm learning into practice?
That's such a big question. I mean, it depends on what you've been learning. So sometimes things like basic life support, for example, you kind of hope that you never have to practicalize that, you know. But if you have been learning something like dementia or communication skills, then it's really finding the setting and the opportunity to apply those skills. Perhaps something like communication or conflict resolution, you know, you'd have more opportunities for that. If you're learning about dementia, it would be a specific dementia setting that you would need to apply that with, or find somebody, you know, find a person with dementia. I am sure that they would absolutely love you to, you know, go and talk to them and visit them and so on. So yeah, it's a really broad question, that. And I'm not quite sure how to answer that other than find the opportunity, find the setting to apply the skill or the knowledge that you've been learning.
Thank you, Mark. We have a question from Rachel, who has a client that's unable to get personal care support for her husband with dementia due to episodes of volatility and hitting out. As a self-employed companion, what should Rachel think about when providing non-clinical, non-personal care while staying safe? And do you recommend any training, for example, dementia-specific de-escalation techniques that could potentially help her?
Absolutely. Yes, definitely I do. I think as a self-employed companion, I think you want to just be careful that you're not putting yourself in a position where you're putting yourself at risk, or the person with dementia, as you described, putting them at risk. So definitely de-escalation, that's available on FuturU. Conflict resolution, positive behaviour support, that's available as well. Certainly both of our dementia courses. So there's dementia awareness and then dementia advanced as well. But also you might want to think about lone working, which is part of our health and safety course. I think that might be useful. So making sure that you're taking all the necessary steps to keep yourself safe. And what else might you be thinking about? I think safeguarding might be a useful one to do as well, because it may be that if you are finding that this person is being volatile, potentially violent, then that might be a setting in which there's a safeguarding issue, and it may be that they need to reassess the care needs in light of that. So exploring safeguarding might be a useful thing as well.
Fantastic, thank you. I guess a similar sort of question, potentially a bit more broad, around, so a question from Miracle. Are there any mentoring, shadowing or specialist training opportunities, for example, in dementia care, end-of-life care or mental health, that I can take advantage of to build my skills and confidence?
Oh, that is a big question. I mean, go back to the volunteering part that we talked about. So the friend of mine that I said that volunteered as a companion in a care home to go and talk to residents, she then became somebody who worked with people with dementia for the Alzheimer's Society, and this is in Bristol, and I know that she's always looking to explore how volunteers might support her. So she connects people with people living with dementia with schools. So she'll go into a school and the person with dementia will talk about their experience of having dementia, and allow the school children to ask questions and, you know, kind of demystify it for them. It's a really powerful initiative. So I know that she's always thinking about how she might get to use people more, and people could, you know, help her in her projects. And I should imagine that there are thousands of those opportunities around. So think about your local Alzheimer's Society or dementia organisation. There's dementia cafes. You might be able to volunteer in dementia cafes and memory cafes, often they're called, or local care homes as a companion that might specialise in, or no doubt will have, residents with dementia. So I think there's a strong volunteering route that will get you that experience.
Fantastic, thank you, Mark. We have a question from Success, who's currently a senior carer but wishing to become a registered manager. What are the certifications that they need, and can FuturU help?
So the certifications that you need are a level 5. It's I'm assuming that you're in England. I'm going to make that assumption. So there is a level 5 qualification for a registered manager. And I'm just going to get you the exact title of it, if you just bear with me. But also, in addition to that, there is a requirement to register with CQC if it's in England. And you'll need to go through an interview process with CQC and pass that too. But I'm just flashing this up and getting the registered managers course. It's a level 5 diploma in leadership and management for adult care. So that's the mandatory qualification for anyone aiming to become a registered care manager in England. Yeah, it's recognised by CQC. In Scotland, I think there's an equivalent qualification. It's an SVQ level 9. But interestingly, in order to get there, you might, depending on what your level of qualification is now, you might have to do a level 3 to jump up to the level 5. But you'll have to either talk to your employer about that or your training provider. Second part of the question, no, FuturU don't offer it, I'm afraid. We're looking to develop the level 5 next year, but we don't offer it yet.
Brilliant, thanks, Mark. We have a question from Esther. I believe it's in relation to the level 2 adult social care certificate. So she has the level 2, but can she do the level 3 in Wales, is the question. So quite a specific one. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. We have a question from Lisa, who is a nurse with just over 35 years experience in different settings, but they would like to go on to become an oncology nurse. Could you please point her in the direction of what she can do to get to that place?
That is a great question. I suspect Lisa with 35 years experience, I'm going to make an assumption that you're working for an organisation like the NHS or something like that. So I should imagine there will be a line manager or a HR department or a careers conversation process that would be in place in the NHS, and that would be the thing to access. So aside from that, I'm not sure if I can offer, work mostly as an agency nurse, but at the moment you work for a care home. I'm going to take that away, Lisa, and I'm going to come back to you personally with a response to that question, if that's okay. I want to research that.
Thank you, Mark. Lisa, I think I have your email address because you emailed me before the session, so I'll be sure to pass that on to Mark so that he can answer that question for you directly. the questions are coming through thick and fast now, so I'm trying to keep on top of them. Question from T, can you move to a level 5 from a level 2? I'm not sure if you covered that, Mark.
Possibly, but it's unusual. So if you do a level 2, that's generally an entry-level qualification. In order to do a level 5 qualification, you're often needing to be in an environment where you're doing that kind of job, whether it's supporting a manager. So level 5 is the manager qualification. You need to be in a role where you're able to demonstrate that you're doing management activities. And that might not be something that is naturally part of your role from doing a level 2. So this is why it's often more useful to be in a kind of care home or a care organisation to do a qualification like that, because they can provide the kind of supervision and oversight to allow you to try different parts of the role. So it might be stepping in for a manager while they're on holiday. You're more likely to be in a kind of deputy manager role, having done a level 3 to get onto the level 5, if I'm honest.
Thank you very much, Mark. We have had a few questions. I know we said that we were talking specifically about international requirements, but we have had quite a few questions from Esther, from Kelia, from Michael, from Gerald around like sponsorship and things like that. I was just wondering if you could share, Andy or Mark, any advice around sponsorship for people who are looking to work in the UK within the care sector.
Andy, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, so at Newcross we don't offer sponsorship. So sponsorship tends to be offered by employers where you would work full time. So you know, a care home or a place of care like that. So your best bet is to look for jobs within those settings, and then state that you will need sponsorship to work. Sometimes some companies, and there are some agencies that will focus specifically on sponsored applicants for their jobs, including sort of international workers that haven't yet arrived in the UK. So that's another route. So you could connect with an organisation like that. They may then offer the sponsorship and then help you kind of move and settle in the UK. So yeah, there are some options, but yeah, it was more with the direct employers and potentially the NHS as well.
Thank you, Andy. It's 4 p.m. now, so I'm nervous that we're going to be thrown off of Zoom in a minute. So I've just seen one final question from Adetoyan, and then we will leave it there. So Adetoyan is asking around career prospects. Can their Masters in Healthcare Leadership open for them? Are any additional qualifications needed for hospital management?
No. So that would be a case of looking at hospitals and looking for appropriate jobs. It may be that you're not going to move straight into being the chief exec of a hospital, but there may be operation manager roles that you would be suited for, or it might be supporting some kind of operational management role in a on-the-job training situation. Yeah, if you've got a Masters in Healthcare Leadership, I think local hospitals will probably be keen to talk to you if they have the appropriate openings.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Andy. We will leave it there, but really, really appreciate everybody's contributions today. Thank you for all your fantastic questions. If you do have any further questions, do feel free to respond to the email that I share later, and we will do our best to answer them for you. But as I said, keep an eye out for that email. There'll be a link to the recording of today's session if there's anything that you want to catch up on, and there'll also be links to all of the guides and blogs and different bits and bobs that Mark and Andy mentioned as well. The only other thing, one little request from me, in that email I share, there will be a little bit of a question to ask for your feedback. So we'd really, really appreciate it if you could rate your experience today and let us know what you thought of the session, because they really, really helps us to plan more sessions like this in the future and make sure that we are providing as much value to you all as we can. So I will leave it there. I don't know, Andy, Mark, if you have any kind of final words that you want to share.
Just a thanks to Andy, and thanks to everyone that has attended.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.